Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Do you think that Putin will visit France next year in 2024? How many of you think that Putin will visit France, and in what capacity? Dead or alive? And who is Putin going to visit? Well, I have all those answers from Russia Today, and I have an article from the 20th of December 2023, and here it is. Putin could visit France in 2024. Macron supposedly stated. The Russian president could be invited to the anniversary of the Normandy landing. All right, well, how many of you think that that will happen? Let's say, given the premises that they're both alive and in power. The people who think that that's going to happen, raise your hand. Okay. The people who think that will not happen, raise your hands. All right. I don't see how that would happen. I mean, Macron stopped talking to Putin when Zelensky asked him, why is Macron talking to Putin every day? He didn't even talk to Macron, calling him out. Hey, what are you talking to this guy? Like a general question. And Macron stopped talking. So they think he's going to do that? Yet, I don't think so. So French President Emmanuel Macron has not ruled out the possibility of inviting Russian President Vladimir Putin to the 80th anniversary of the D-Day landing in Normandy next June, and I'm quoting, if the situation changes in Ukraine. Well, you see, when you say change, you can think of many kind of changes. Like the situation in Ukraine could be changed when Russia, let's say, reaches the borders of, let's say, France. That could be a change. Or maybe when Russia, let's say, reaches the border of Poland, or maybe, I don't know, reaches Kiev or finalizes the situation in Ukraine, or maybe when NATO will get to Moscow. So what kind of situation change he's thinking of? What do you think? I really don't understand under what kind of circumstances Putin could visit France. What change could allow Putin to visit France? Or whatever, celebrations, anniversary, the 80th anniversary. If Putin, let's say, loses and his army go back to, let's say, February 24, 2022, let's say Putin decides to pay about, how much is right now? Let's say $1 trillion, which is about, let's say they brought it to about 800 billion. So let's make it 1 trillion. Let's say he's going to pay that. Let's say he's saying, okay, we're going to do whatever. Ukraine is a NATO country. These guys will not let him be alive. They're going to put on his back a war criminal. Russia has to do this. Russia has to do this. Russia is sanctioned. Russia has to do. Russia will not, even if it, let's say Russia wins in Ukraine, Russia will not be received at the table of the United States of America ever. Why would they? I mean, remember when Putin asked then President, what's his name? Clinton was still president when they met. And Putin supposedly asked Clinton, what do you think about this idea? Russia joining NATO? And Clinton said, no, Russia is too strong. No, can't. It's too big, too strong. Why? NATO is not an organization for two countries. It's a one country organization. Everybody else is a follower. Imagine let's say you're a good football player, and let's say you are in a team with another good football player. The other ones in your team, let's say, are weasels, and you are the best ones. Well, it could be that you get along, but you consider this your team. He's going to consider that his team. Do you think you're going to pass the ball to one another? Do you think you're going to be highly unlikely? Competition, and it's not like that you're in a schoolyard and you have friends and you play. So let's go back here. I don't think under what circumstances he could be over there so fast. That's impossible. C'est impossible. C'est impossible. How? Macron repeatedly made a comment on Wednesday in the course of an hour-long interview with state broadcaster France 5. When asked about the upcoming anniversary celebrations and whether the Russian leader might make an appearance, Macron said it was a possibility. It's an impossibility, right? Is it possible? Is that what it is? If he holds peace talks and changes the situation. Even that, he's not going to be, with Ukrainian president. But you see here, if he holds peace talks and changes the situation. Holding peace talks with Zelensky is not up to Putin. That's the one. They have put in their law that they should not talk to Putin. That's Zelensky's and the bunch. And then change the situation, even if they change it, they will not rehabilitate, let's put it this way, because they're in charge. They're like a mental institution. They try to counsel you, they rehabilitate you. Whatever, mental or maybe substance abuse rehabilitation center. So they are not in that position. They think they are. No, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. At a press conference last week, Macron told reporters that the Ukraine conflict has made relations with Russia virtually impossible, but that he would gladly take a call from Putin if he agrees to a peace that respects international law and therefore Ukraine's interests and sovereignty. Well, how about can Russia ask the same thing? International law and Russia's interests and sovereignty? Or could the people that were killed in the eastern part of Ukraine, are they respected? What do you think is going to happen to those guys? Do you think that, let's say, the Russian army pulls back to the borders of, I don't know, February 24th, 2022, and the NATO military pulls in, what do you think will happen there? I think it's going to be a ethnic cleansing, it's going to be mass killings and rapes. Not because the Ukrainians are bad. Pick a history book and you find out, okay? Nevertheless, you think that didn't happen with the landing? They took care of it in the Nuremberg trials. That should pose for you a little, a little notebook where you can, inspire your thoughts. And Macron comments came in response to a comment by Putin during his year-end telethon last Thursday. The Russian president had noted that Russia had a quite good working relationship with France, but that Macron broke it off. That when Weasel Zelensky called him out like that. Asked if Macron was interested in resuming relations with Paris, Putin said yes, if there is interest. If not, we'll manage. We have other things to do, end quote, the Russian leader added. Putin last attended the Normandy ceremonies in 2014. So even when he was a nice guy, the little parrot that eats from your palm, still. But maybe he was invited, but he didn't show up. I don't think so. I remember when they had the problems with people did not show up at the Red Square celebrations. And to be straight, the Russians don't consider the landing a massive or any change. For them, in their history books, is Soviet Union liberated the entire Soviet Union territory by the time these guys landed. In their view, and not only, the landing was just to take land and take over Europe. Otherwise, the Soviets would have. So that's the only thing these guys landed in these guys' mind. And think about it. Think about it. Soviet Union was fighting 90% of the German army, which was located on the Eastern Front. 10% was over there, with Rommel building batteries at beaches, something that he hated. But anyway, that was Rommel's new job. So, says Putin last attended the Normandy ceremonies in 2014. The Elysee Palace did not send him an invitation for the 75th anniversary event in 2019 without an explanation. Asked about it at the time, the Russian president brushed it off by saying he was quite busy. And I'm quoting, "But if we are imagining conspiracy theories, maybe Western leaders wanted to have their own chit-chat before having some contact with us," Putin told reporters at the time. And I'm quoting again, "That doesn't really matter. What matters is the truth about the history and about the horrible tragedy that happened to humanity during the Second World War." Now, the snub came amid a series of incidents in which Western governments omitted the role the Soviet Union played in the Allied victory. That's crazy, that's idiotic, prompting complaints from Moscow about historical revisionism. The June 6, 1944, amphibious landing by American, British, Canadian and other Allies troops marked the beginning of the campaign to liberate France from Nazi occupation. 2 weeks later, the Soviet Union would launch Operation Bagration on the Eastern Front, dealing a decisive defeat to the German Army Group Center. Well, nevertheless, it was a joint effort. No country would have been able to face the Germans at that point. No country. Soviet Union without the Lend-Lease from the Americans, and with the idiotic, stupid planning of the Japanese, who wanted their garbage over there instead of attacking Soviet Union, which they did for a second. When they stopped and they moved south, the Japanese army, cuckoo, then those guys, which is the Soviets, took the forces from the eastern side, Eastern Front, took it and moved it into the their Western Front. Hitler told Tojo, right, General Tojo, invade so the Soviets will be split. Just pretend, at least. Keep them busy a little bit. They did a little bit and then changed their mind, and the Soviets said, okay, everybody go over there. That was partly. So that would, Soviet Union would have collapsed, I think, without the help of the Westerners, money and others. Obviously being busy in other areas on the British and so on. The British would have been on their island for a while after the Germans would have cleared Soviet Union. Probably they would have let the British alone because, well, Putin, I was about to say, Adolf said that he has no interest in doing anything to those guys because he considers them as us, he said. No, don't. If you really want to hear that, you can go on YouTube and see Adolf Galland, that ace, you know, the German pilot. And in one of his interviews, he speaks English, and he says that he had a conversation with Adolf at one point, and he said, how can we do this and attack? And he said, no, don't talk like that. I don't want to attack the British. I respect the British. He said many times that he considered the British, or the English, British, being like us, like the Germans. So he didn't want to do that, not because he was afraid or something. Eventually he would have bombarded the shit probably out of Great Britain after he cleared Europe, but if no intervention from other countries. Again, it was an idiotic attack coming from Japan and the Pearl Harbor against Hitler's negotiations. I mean, the Japanese and the Italians, I have to say, they were a liability for these guys, but well, what can you do? In a team you have some good players and you have some players. So anyway, this is not going to happen because I know they didn't invite him, and besides, as I said, for the Russians, that landing really doesn't mark something, oh my god, these guys make it, oh, it was a big landing, but anyway, here is, my friends, that's not going to happen under no circumstances. Even Putin, as I said, give them everything. Even if Putin says, I'm going to go to the stupid Hague and be over there and go incarcerated, then you just take me to the, and you know, do you take me like Vercingetorix, right? The Romans put him in the Gaul, remember the Gaul king or how leader, They took him, they put him in a cage, and they took him in Rome. Remember that one? Awful. And he just gave up. He came to them. Vercingetorix was not caught. He came and said, well, let's make peace. They grabbed him, put him in a cage, and he went and they exposed him like a dog in Rome. I have nothing for or against that guy or the other ones. I'm just saying, do you think that Putin is going to come and say, I'm coming for you, psh, boom, bam, boom, boom, here it is. All right, maybe they're going to cut his head off, you're going to put it on a stake and put it in, I don't know, London. I mean, look at Gaddafi. Do you think that what I said was far-fetched? Nah, I don't think so. I don't think so. We are the same. At our origin, we are the same as we were 2,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago. You know, we are a little bit more, how should I put, we are obeying orders because we are afraid of the consequences, and we were conditioned. That's what keeps us moral and all that. But anyway, that's more than I can talk about this garbage. Anyway, here is, my friends. Putin is not going to go over there, and Macron knows that. If Macron invites Putin, Macron is going to go. What am I talking about? These guys call other leaders from Europe or wherever they are milder with Putin. They call them Putin sympathizers. What about inviting this? Nah. Look what they do to Orban or to what's his name, Erdogan of Turkey, or now with Fico, the Prime Minister of Slovakia. You can't have that. The second you say, well, let me think about it. Maybe it's not so. Immediately they attack you personally. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.